Before I talk about the internet traffic, I just want to make sure that you understand that how Akamai doing, because we are a largest CDN provider. So we have a large distributed platform. So we have over 200,000 of servers distributed to deliver the content, and we collect the data from all these servers. So we basically collect all the log line from the servers, and then we analyze that, and then so that from this all data, then we see the internet traffic that we are observing. Like for example, the average connection speed, the number of unique IP address, what's the IPv6 adoption rate. So we collect all this data, and then what we observe is like globally, the internet traffic is definitely still growing. So it has been going like up to now is about 800 million of unique IP address that we observe. Although it's a bit declining, but because we say this is a good sign because people are actually moving from V4 to V6. And the average connection speed, we also see a growing trend, and the adoption rate, for example, like 4 meg broadband adoption rate, we see like 76% as of now. And 10 meg, we see also a very high percentage, because this is very important if you see the broadband adoption rate, because in the future, people are going to do a lot of like video or downloading movies, streaming. So if their broadband connection is capable of doing all this video, then they can enjoy a better video quality. So that's why all these are very good indicator of how the internet is doing. Asia is, in terms of the internet population, is actually have the most population, because we see like out of the 800 million of internet users that we observe, out of that 242 million are actually from Asia. It's actually far more than Europe, US, etc. So definitely most of the internet population we see is actually from Asia. But however, the connection speed, the V6 adoption rate is not as high as in the US and Europe, because they are always like more pioneer in terms of technologies. But definitely Asia is actually keeping up the wave. So we see that like the IPv6 adoption rate is also quite high in, let's say, in Japan, Malaysia. And the average connection speed is also going up. And in fact, like Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, they're actually the top average connection speed that we observe over the world. So like Korea, we can do over 100 meg of peak connection. In Singapore, they do the peak like 175 of peak connection. This is far better than US and Europe. But what this only happened to certain countries in Asia. In Sri Lanka, we see that, for example, like the V6 adoption rate is starting from this year, they start to go up, like now up to 0.8% for the IPv6 adoption rate. And the average connection speed is also going up like 2-3 years ago. So I think the peak connection now is like 24 meg for Sri Lanka and 6 meg for the average connection speed. IPv6, we see some interesting statistics that we see. For example, like we see a lot of V6 adoption in Europe, being like, for example, like Belgium is the highest IPv6 adoption rate, that is up to like 38%, and then followed by like Greece, Germany, they all have a very high V6 percentage. And then in US, we observe something else, is that the IPv6, the mobile network, they are actually also have a very high percentage of V6 adoption rate. That's because the US mobile operator, they actually starting to implement dual stack dual stack at the very beginning stage, like T-Mobile. And now T-Mobile is even, they implement a pure IPv6 network on their mobile network, which is quite different than other, because they are all running dual stack, and then they actually run it quite successfully. So we also see another thing is we're trying to measure all the data on this V6 performance. So what we see is, like for example, in the mobile operator that they implement V6, they actually have a better performance than the V4. That's because, for example, like they have to bypass all these carrier-grade NAT. They get rid of all the transparent proxy, and they also have the direct connectivity to the V6. So what I mean is, if the client is V6 enabled already, then if they go to V6, they just purely a network connection. But if they go to V4 side, they just have the NAT 6.4 and the 6.4 DNS. This is quite easy to implement actually for a mobile network, and it's quite large scale. And the other thing is because I think in IPv6 is particularly popular in mobile network because the mobile user is actually growing tremendously. Like for example, in India, we observed that like in Rio, that they have a new mobile operator and they are trying to give free data to the internet users. And because it's out of V4 address now, so the only way that they can implement is V6. And we see actually like 60% of the requests to Akamai is actually running over V6. And then in Asia, we are starting to talk to different mobile operator like the NT Docomo and then the largest mobile operator. And then they're all starting to think about implementing V6 starting from next year. So these are all very exciting news that I think we will see in the V6 in the future.